In this tutorial, we're just going to talk about HTML tags for text formatting. I think we covered some of the basics in the last tutorial, EM, strong, bold, underline. The first thing I'm going to talk about is subscripts and superscripts. So for example, sub means the text or whatever is included, H2O, is included at half a line down. So H2O / sub O. Okay, and I'll put just to get when I test the website, I'm just going to put a little extra line between it. Okay. Next thing is superscript. Okay, so let's do that. So again, pretty straightforward. Okay, W, soup, and then 3, which is the World Wide Web Consortium, W3C, and then C. Okay. So really quickly, subscript, superscript. Okay. The other thing I want to talk about really quickly is, in case you see it, some of these older ones, rather than create classes of a certain HTML command, for example, italics, we could use I, we could use EM, and we'll talk about a few other things here. Cite is something that will also produce italics, so this is italics / cite. Okay, cite can also be used as an attribute for a block quote. We'll sort of talk about that a little bit later. It doesn't work in Explorer, but does work in some other browsers. Okay, another one, address, also will give you italics. My house. Address. Okay, I'm just going to put some P's after this so they're showing up on separate lines. Okay. Control S. Okay, oops. File. Save as. Throw it to my desktop. .html. Save. Okay, I've already got it created, so I'll just replace it. There you go. Shrink it down, my first website, and then that's what I should get. Okay, so this is italics and my house, which also shows up in italics. Pop over to the next one. Okay, so as you can see, I can't spell italics real well, but you get the idea. Okay, the other thing I want to talk about is quotes. So what I can do is, if I want something in quotes, I can simply use the HTML tag Q. So /Q. So in the bottom line here of my house, I can simply use, will show up in quotes. Okay, Control S. There's also a way you can do it using an ASCII number. We'll talk about that later when we get to ASCII formats. And you can use numbers. It's happening a lot for icons and stuff like that, for like applications that show up on a phone, etc. We'll get into that a little bit later. Icons and badges and graphics and stuff like that. So anyway, Control S, double check we got quotes, and then let's do one more. Control S, save it, refresh it, F5, that quote in my house shows up in quotes. Cool. Finally, I'm going to do is do block quote. Okay, so let's do ahead and do that. Show back up on the screen. Okay, so what I want to do is block quote. What does block quote do? Again, back in the old days, the internet, we were just doing web pages and stuff. I mean, not web pages. We were doing research papers. So this is simply a block quote. Block quote. The reason why it gets used a lot of times here is let's put blah 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 /p and blah blah blah. That's my quote. Is a lot of times indentation is sort of a pain. So by default, block quote. I can't spell. Block quote will give us a line and an indentation. Okay, so Control S, again short key, then refresh it, and then I will get a line extra and a block quote. Okay, I notice that it continues to be italics, so I must have made a mistake. Block quote / block quote. Yes, I did make a mistake. Here, address has got 3 D's. So my address started, never finished. So let me fix that up. Okay, Control S. Also, I do want to notice that sometimes we want to talk about attributes. Attributes are options for an HTML tag. There is actually one here. Site can be used as a HTML tag and as an attribute. A site, https://www.reddit.com. Okay, this does not work in Explorer. I just want to mention that I want to introduce the concept of attributes. We'll talk about this as we get some more HTML5, some of the new text formatting commands here in a minute or two. Okay, so again, a lot of times they'll show up as a little, generally depends on either a white text or yellow, depending on the version of the browser you're using. So let's go ahead and do that. So Control S. We won't see this this highlighted. This site won't work in Explorer. But let's just double check that the mistake I found got corrected. Yes, it did. So now my block text is in normal text. It is not italics. Okay. Now there's a way around it. Go back here. So the next thing I want to talk about, these are some of the new HTML commands that deal with text formatting. First one is DFN. DFN basically says, look, it's a definition. Okay. Then I'm going to use an attribute. I'm going to use an attribute called title. And then this is where I can go ahead and put anything I want. Web page, Reddit. Now you'll notice it is inside the greater than or equal to signs for an HTML tag, so it's an attribute. Then this is my page. So what's going to happen here is /DFM. So what's going to happen here is whatever is in my title will show up as a mouse-sensitive block on my web page. So here, Control S for me, refresh my web page, go back, shrink it down, refresh my web page. There you go. Now this is my page. Now I'm going to should move over web page Reddit. You can sort of see that. There you go. Now certain browsers will come up as yellow with the background. But anyway, this is my way of getting, hey, block quote, my site didn't work, man. I moved my text over. I didn't see that https reddit.com show up. So we can use it using definitions. Okay, DFN. Okay, so cool. And now a couple other that are relatively new. The other one here is mark. Let's go ahead and do that. Mark. Mark, what it does is it allows me to put a yellow highlighter on certain words. So let's go ahead and do that. My page, I want in highlighted. So /mark, Control S, refresh, and renew. So there you go. My page will now show up in yellow. Now at this point, you guys should be able to say, hey, I hate yellow. Then what you can do is simply go up into your style section and change it as you so choose. By default it's yellow, but again I can throw in a style section here and I can change it to whatever I'd like. Okay, mark, we do again wiggly bracket, background, whatever, blue, no problem, done. Semicolon, wiggly bracket. I got to end my style command, and then Control S, refresh it. And then, boom, my web page now has an outline of blue. You can't see my text real well, but you get the idea. Okay. You can also change text color. From the previous videos on color, you should know everything there is to know about color. Okay. Next one I want to talk about really quickly is DBO. DBO basically says I want the text to appear in reverse. So let's go ahead and let me shrink the web page here. And it looks like I broke out of right click, open with Notepad. Okay, apparently I canceled out. Okay, next one is DBO. So I'm going to put P here on a new line. Okay, directional BDO. Sorry, again this is BDO, and then there's an option here, an attribute called DIR. Direction. So this allows me technically Arabic, Hebrew, and some others show up in going left to right, right to left. So I'm going to quickly go ahead and RTL, right to left, and then I'm going to type whatever my text is. Blah 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 blah. This is an example. Okay, cool. And then slash BDO, and then Control S, refresh it, and then click on my web page and refresh it, and then the text will show up backwards. Okay. So these are some of the common options. There's a few more. Maybe, I'm not sure, on the video you heard the bell ringing for the next class. There's a couple other class. I'll put them on a PDF attached with this video. Well, let's talk about pre real quickly. The kids can wait a little bit. Pre is it's a preset. Okay, pre is an old command. This is a test. Okay, and then I'm going to do slash pre. So what I'm telling the browser is, look, don't worry about the details of formatting. Just make approximately what it is I type between a pre and a slash pre. Control S, and then I can go ahead and refresh my web page, and you'll see a monochrome type, and it's got the indentations. So number one, it saves me having to set up individual indentations. The other thing I like with the pre is that it allows me to go ahead and put extra lines on a page. Remember when we had backgrounds? Okay, so like sometimes my students complained, hey, my photo's showing up at the top. It's not centered, even though I use a center attribute. A lot of times the problem is the web page is too small. Okay, so in this case, what I would do here is pre, and then enter a bunch of times, and do slash pre. So it allows me to give me some space on a web page so I can see the image centered or do whatever I need to do. Okay. So this is the tutorial for extended text formatting tags.